your heaven and hell. So I would argue that we create our own heaven and hell here on earth. We create it from within. Heaven and hell aren't waiting for us at the end of our life as a reward or a punishment for how we've lived, but are there within our life. In fact, we create our own heaven and hell. I'm not suggesting here that the things that happen to you are your fault, or that if you're in a very, very bad environment and you've suffered a lot, but maybe in the past, maybe you're suffering now, that you're creating that. People live impossibly difficult lives, and others seem to have easier lives. However, we create our own heaven and hell from within. We've all been inspired by those who, despite the difficulties and the suffering that they have to endure in their lives, find the light within themselves to still not give in to what's happening to them, but to rise above it, to transcend the suffering that they are facing in their lives. And this is what I'm meaning by we create our own heaven and hell. Not that what happens to us externally is our fault, but it's how we react to what is happening within our own soul that then becomes hellish or heavenly. And it does appear as though some people are tested to the extreme in terms of what they have to face and what they have to navigate and how they have to find a path through impossible circumstances and situations. And when they manage to triumph and do that from within, from an inner strength, let us say, then we sit back in awe and we recognize that there is something special happening, not in that person's life, but within their soul, that there is something, there's a spark of light, there's a part of their being that will not be extinguished, and that actually shines brighter the more the world presents difficulties to them. And we can find that place, and we can create a heaven for ourselves within our own being, from that deeper place that isn't affected by what is happening, but can see what is happening and accept it, and then through that acceptance is able to navigate the difficulties of the external world and our environment. And then from that place we create our heaven, and we can find that externally too, no matter how difficult the situation is, because we're bringing that sense of peaceful serenity and acceptance into the world. We're not looking for the world to bring it to us, because the world can never do that. The world will always bring us difficulties and obstacles and suffering. and challenges what we bring to the world, is that sense of inner peace and strength from a deeper sense of being. And that is the heaven that we create within us, that then reflects back into the world and of things. And conversely, of course, we can create our own private hell, and we can allow the world of things to invade us and become part of our internal structure, our internalized fear and anxiety, and it can suck the life out of us, and we can then become a reflection of the external hell that we are facing, and then we live that within. And that is a very difficult place to be and to find any positive direction from. And this plays out in the world, of course, in terms of depression and anxiety and all manner of mental health issues, and that can also lead to physical problems in the long run. And we've talked about this in past videos. And we do have a choice to internally create our heaven or hell. We don't have a choice as to what happens to us most of the time, but we can choose how to react to what happens to us and how to navigate the difficulties of our life. And if we can do that by finding that heaven within, then that makes it much easier to face the difficulties, the trials and tribulations of our lives. We are actually bringing peace, serenity, tranquility and acceptance to what is happening externally, and we are keeping that space within us that isn't harmed by those external events. And so we turn the tables on life. We create heaven, and then that moves into the world from within, that deeper sense of being. And we know this is true because we may have had glimpses of it in our own lives, and we can certainly see examples of it in other people's lives. Either those people perhaps we know and see daily, or perhaps people that we have heard about and read about in history. And those people show that it is possible to conquer extreme suffering and the chaos of life by bringing some inner peace and beingness to that chaos and to that suffering, but that comes from within. And that is the heaven that we can find, and that is the heaven that then we can find mirroring back to us once we find that peace and stillness. And then we can help others from that place. And we can realize that it's not the external situations and the things and the manifestations that present to us externally that define us. It is that deeper sense of beingness within, the heaven that we can find despite the difficulties that we face externally. It all comes back to finding that deeper sense of beingness and peace within. And there are plenty of videos here on my channel about what that is. I talk about the way, the flow of life, the Tao, and of course you can do your own investigation into this deeper sense of transcendent being that is present and is the default position underneath the story of you.